awkward ones. Okay, there we go.
Luis, thank you so much. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. We're super excited to talk with you all about venture partners. We're really, really thrilled about this partnership with Reed because I think that it'll give us the ability to accelerate our programming to you all and be able to expand the impact of the program. So I will just talk a little bit about why this program exists, why it's been exciting to be a part of it, and then Luis, who's the program director, can talk more specifically about the scope of this particular partnership and answer, and collectively we can answer any of your questions. But if in case you don't know, Venture Partners was created because for all of us, we were working in VC, and what we realized was that even in 2020, at the height of people realizing that there needed to be different focuses in venture capital, it still wasn't enough when we were seeing like a lot more people enter into the venture capital space. And, a lot of the focus was on founders. And we absolutely think that, like there should be more investment into founders, but also we should be changing who's making those decisions. And especially when we thought about it, like if we want the everyday American to be able to be a founder and a venture-backed founder, then we also need to be able to have the everyday American be a capital allocator and, across the table when it comes to evaluating deal flow. So that's why we created Venture Partners, is to really work at the intersection of diversity. And so when we think about like what that means, we do think about racial and cultural diversity, but then there's also many other types of diversity. And how are we incorporating diversity across age, socioeconomic status, geographical region? How do we train up people who essentially don't have a background in venture capital or maybe don't have a background in finance and help them bring their unique perspectives into the capital allocation system. And so that's what we do at Venture Partners. So we host an annual fellowship. We're actually in the middle of our third annual fellowship that we've hosted. People go through that. There's, a lot of different components to it, with like research components, there's didactic curriculum, there's practical curriculum. People go through all of that to be able to get onboarded and prepared to then work in venture capital or the broader capital allocation system. We've been fairly successful so far in our last cohorts. I think that a lot of people have been able to access venture capital in particular, but in general, like the capital allocation system, whether it's like public funds or other types of entrepreneurial supporting activities through our fellowship. And in general, I will say that it certainly unveils and unmasks a lot of the knowledge that has like historically been shrouded. And like, if you're not already in networks of wealth or like, people associated with people in venture capital, the knowledge of like how to do this job has not been really like, dispersed to the masses. So that's what we're here to do. And so we're really, again, excited about partnering with Reed to be able to work with students. And one of the things that I'll just mention, and then I'm going to pass this over to Luis, is I've been really, really excited about the enthusiasm we've received from other fund managers. So I myself run a fund. And so I have a lot of friends who then run funds through the nature of me running a fund, and I've gotten into those like circles and, connections. And a lot of them are super excited about what we're doing and are really excited about bringing on interns for the summer. So we're really pumped to be able to have both the supply and demand side kind of come together in this partnership. So with that, I will turn it over to Luis to talk more about specifics.
Thank you, Himalaya. Pleasure to meet everyone in the room. My name is Luis Valdevillareana, Program Director of Venture Partners. I am also an alumni, so I was part of this first cohort of Venture Partners, and I can say I'm one of their success stories where I got hired during the fellowship. So it's kind of like at the beginning. So it was a very wonderful experience. And so yeah, I'm really excited about this partnership between Reed College and Venture Partners. And so I'm going to share my screen and have a quick PowerPoint presentation. Okay. Are you able to see my screen? Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this partnership between venture partners and Reed College, it's called Exploring Venture Capital, Unleash Your Curiosity. So really, this is for individuals. It doesn't really mean like you have to have a finance background or like a business major. If you are really interested in the industry and just want to get more into it, learn more about it, how the process works and capital allocation works, you are definitely we're more than happy to have you apply for it. Like I said, this is not like a major specific. So you can be from any major. For example, I am a political science major, so I don't come from a business background, but I was still able to generate the skills and education to succeed in this industry. So with that, some deadlines. The application due date is April 20th of this year, so a few more weeks. If you need an extension, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to work with you on that. Okay. So Himalaya talked a little bit about venture partners. We are diversifying decision makers in venture capital. We run a fellowship program that is currently happening right now. And so they are in their education component. And again, it's for BIPOC women individuals from rural communities, but like Himalaya Express, it's also very based on a lot of different factors within diversity that we talk about. Some of the benefits of going through this program before I get into the timeline. The first is recognition in the venture capital community. So you will be working on a white paper, which will be published and distributed through various platforms within the VC community and our network, as well as getting published in our Venture Partners annual magazine. And so on that magazine, we'll have a profile on you alongside your your white paper. You will have access to a Venture Partners educational content. And so we have a library of educational videos, and we have a handbook that we created that has a lot of important topics within the VC space. Our current fellowship, that's what they're going through right now. And so once you apply for this fellowship, you will join them on this educational component. And we understand that some of you might still be in classes. And so this educational content is really virtual and remote and based on your own time and your own schedule. So you can watch these videos whenever you have time and answer the questions on journal entries. And we have office hours as well that you will be more than welcome to attend, where we discuss the content of the week or bring in a special speaker. Next, you will get access to our network community. So you get access to entrepreneurs, industry expert, and venture capitalists, and we'll open the door to networking and mentorship opportunities. And lastly, you will get a 3-month VC internship that I will talk a little bit here, I think, on the next slide. Before that, so the timeline is the program application deadline is April 20, 2024. You will be working on a white paper and didactic education through the month of April and May. Again, we'll work with you based on your schedule within like your classes before you start summer break to get those items finalized. And then we're going to jump right into a real world experience in a VC internship through June and August. That is 320 hours internship over 8 to 10 weeks. And so we'll work with you closely to define how that looks like specifically for you. I know there might be some questions about, is it remote? Is it in person? And so it's really going to be based on where you are located, where are you doing for the summer, your plans and your schedule, and we'll try to best align with that. Before you get started on your internship, we're going to send you an entrance form for you to fill out that has all these questions to make sure that we align you with the best VC possible. So yeah, here's the application link. Like I said, the white paper that you will be working on is focused on 5 topics that we have written, or you get to select your own. And sort of the white papers to sort of get a sense of like what you want to do in the industry. There's a lot of different topics within about clean tech, healthcare, diversity and inclusion. And so that topic is really important to sort of understand what you see in the VC space. And the education components of the videos are going to gear you up to be an associate for your internship during June. And so we'll teach you how to do due diligence, how to screen for companies, how to source companies, the basic language that we use in venture capital to make sure that you're very well prepared to go into this internship in the summer, where you will be working closely with one of the VCs that will offer you mentorship. You will get real world experience and looking at companies, writing due diligence reports, sourcing companies, attending events, and sort of just getting to know the space. And so we'll be with you alongside your whole experience with venture partners. We as staff are committed to making sure that you go into a very well situation where you can excel and really showcase your skills. But again, we're going to be available for one-on-ones during this process, just connecting with you, making sure things are going great for you. And so that is really a short presentation, but if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I actually am putting the application in the chat as well for those that need it. But before we move forward, do any of you have any questions that we might be able to answer? Okay. Heading off next there is a summer scholarship opportunity that Shania will talk about a little bit more that goes alongside this partnership with Venture Partners and Reed.
Yeah, thank you, Louise. So the Summer Internship Award is funded through the Center for Life Beyond Reed. And it offers up to $4,700 worth of funding toward your cost of living. So the intention of that fund is not necessarily wage replacement. It is meant to provide you with the financial accessibility to be able to do an unpaid or underpaid internship. So it is meant to make sure that you have what you need financially to be able to like have everything covered for the summer while you're completing an unpaid or underpaid internship. Underpaid would be the program is offering you a stipend, but it's not enough to cover your full cost. In that case, you would be eligible to apply for the Summer Internship Award funding to cover whatever remaining unmet financial needs you have. You do have to provide a budget where you outline what those cost of living needs are. And so through this program, we've all had a chance to chat and work together to come to an agreement that those who participate in this particular program are able to receive funding through Summer Internship Award. That award we review on a rolling basis, though. So it is important that if you are considering participating, that you complete the form that Luis offered in the chat and get that process going so you can be formally accepted before you are able to go and apply for Summer Internship Award funding. So part of our application process is that the employer has actually confirmed that they're going to host you before you're able to apply. So it's first step would be to complete the job form. And then once you've received confirmation from them, then you can move forward with applying for funding for the summer. The biggest thing with Summer Internship Award is when we decided to make the deadline rolling instead of a competitive deadline, that the biggest thing is we just need you to do the process accurately. So unlike other applications for some funding where everybody applies by the deadline, your materials are reviewed, and the top most competitive students are selected, we've just decided that so long as you've done the thing we asked you to do, you submitted the cover letter, you've submitted your budget and resume, you did everything according to the steps we've outlined, you will receive your funding. So that is pending, there is still funding. So that's why the rolling deadline is more equitable, because it means that we're not comparing you against other candidates. The challenging part is that funding can run out pretty quickly sometimes. So I would say that's going to be the one thing that's important if you're considering this versus other awards, is this is an opportunity that is now here in front of you and available to you. And that might mean you have to consider, other opportunities that you might have been applying to or thinking about that are maybe you're not sure whether or not you're going to get those. I would be really mindful of making that decision for yourself probably in the next week on which thing you're going to commit your time to. But yeah, the Summer Internship Award application can be found inside of Handshake. So I will really quickly do a screen share with you all so you have a chance to kind of see what that form looks like from a student perspective. It's actually pretty straightforward. We try to make the process such that you're really only answering yes, no questions in terms of eligibility. So 1 second, Handshake is asking me, there we go.
And Christian and David, while that's being pulled up, I would love to know, what drove you to be interested in this program? Like, what are you hoping to get out of this?
Well, I actually had been interested in getting into venture capital for a while. And so when Shania sent out the email way before this partnership was even thought of, way back it was like I think when January, right? Right, Shania? It was that like it was all the way back in January. I immediately clicked on it and was like, okay, I need to jump on this right now because I had always understood that venture capital was a very competitive industry to get into, and I'd been looking for a way to kind of make that inroad into it, but I had kind of dithered and not really gone along and done that. And I thought to myself, I need to stop delaying and just start doing it now. And I was on a gap year, and so I applied for the fellowship, way earlier. And so when I got in, I was really happy, and I'm just really glad to finally be able to like actually make some concrete steps toward that interest that I've had for years, actually, in a way that's like productive, and actually is kind of be kind of cumulative in the sense that it'll help me build toward my next hopeful career step.
Amazing. Yes, and Luis mentioned that you are part of our Fellowship 3 already, and so this is great that the partnership with Reed can enhance that experience with the internship. So really excited to have you on. And what about you, David?
Hi. I think for me, I had the pleasure of attending Reed's Financial Services Fellowship. So pretty much, we went to New York and I had a lot of opportunities to see a lot of the sectors in the financial industry. And particularly, we had a business dinner with Oregon Venture Fund as well before we even went on the trip. And I think venture capital was something that was particularly interesting for me, just especially when it comes to the decision-making process, when it comes to determining if you want to fund a company or looking at the founder set. And just that entire, I guess, journey was something that was very interesting for me. And just opening my eyes to Wellington management as well. Seeing someone talk about, I guess, their journey in venture capital was something I particularly wanted to be a part of or look into for my own future as well. So just seeing this opportunity was something that I really wanted to be a part of, and I'm in the midst of applying for.
Nice. And it's also, I mean, like, it's really tough. It's, as David has probably come to learn, especially in this field for sophomores to get opportunities, because usually most organizations are looking for juniors. In terms of like internship roles in the field. So yeah, I think this is an excellent way to help folks get a foot in the door. That like Reed doesn't necessarily have like a strong like pipeline system. We have relationships with some folks, but we're not like other institutions. And so I think this is a really good way for us to like help get students in the door, even if it's just to explore. So the experiences form, I'm gonna share my screen really quick. This is the back end of Handshake, so it looks a little bit different from the student perspective, but it's, let's see. Okay. So when you go into Handshake, there's this section called experiences. You can find, students can find that when they go to Career Center. There's a button from your Handshake homepage that is Career Center. You'll go there and you will see the option to submit for an experience. When you go, you have to select the type. So we have a bunch of different kinds. summer internship award, and then the system sort of auto filters for you. So you'll select the term, summer 24. It'll already have this information in here about who you are. And then you'll select the organization. So that's where you'll type in the org, and the location and the industry. And then you can type in like the position title. That's sort of like kind of whatever you will be calling yourself. Department, you don't have to put in the to and from date. So that's where you'll say, you know, May 10th, 2024 to, let's say, August 15th, 2024. Internship, salary, you can put 0 if you'd like to. Offer accepted, yes. And we'll say 2024. So all of this is literally just like that basic bio information. This is where you will put in the contact information of the person who is going to approve you, because what happens is when you complete this experience form, our team is going to review your materials to make sure that everything is like up to par. And then once CLBR says yes, your internship supervisor will receive an auto email from Handshake that is basically like they need to confirm, yes, in fact, this person is going to be working with us for the summer. So whoever that person is that needs to say yes about your internship, that's the email you'll need to put in. And this form is super quick. So it's not like a qualitative form. It's very much like, this person says they're going to intern with you. Is this true? The internship needs to be this many weeks, this long. Is this internship 320 hours, 8 to 10 weeks? And then with your basic information, this is where I said, like, we tried our best to make these like yes, no questions of like, have you reviewed our FAQs? Like all of your content will be visible to your supervisor. So whatever you put in your cover letter and resume is something that like, you need to know this, your supervisor can see. We will remove your budget because we believe that supervisors don't need to know your financial needs. Is your internship 320 hours over the course of the summer? Do you agree to participate in our reflection process? So we do have, if you're awarded, we make students write written reflections about what, how is it going over the summer? So that is required in accepting the funding. And then are you applying for any other funds? Because we do not allow students to double dip on different campus funding that exists. So if you receive something through your department and the summer internship award, we would make you choose one. Is this internship off campus, and is it through a nonprofit? If it's not through a nonprofit, that's okay. There's certain steps if you're working like potentially with a for-profit organization as an unpaid intern. There are certain steps that we make you write about in your cover letter that are listed on our webpage. So, and then after you've completed this, it will prompt you to submit your materials. So your cover letter and your resume and your budget. So let's go on to the next page. So you will, upload your cover letter, resume, budget, a little bio about what you're going to be doing for stewardship purposes. And then if you're a senior, we have some limited funding for seniors this year. So now your experience is created. Oh. I didn't like that for some reason. Oh, sorry. Let's try that. Well, anyways, Once your experience is created in the form, you can then go and upload those documents, your resume, cover letter, budget. So it's pretty quick. Like we made this form to where it's like, it's really not something we want people to spend a lot of time on. We just are like really trying to make sure you understand the requirements for this award. And then on our website, which I will share with you, are details on like what your cover letter needs to include. And when we're designing these processes, we try and make them so intuitive because we're not trying to trick you. Like we want you to get the funding. So the cover letter is, we outline like, these are the things you need to address in your cover letter. So my recommendation when completing that process is just to take your time and do it correctly. And the reason for that is we are reviewing applications as they come in. So I'm starting from like the most recently submitted. And if there's something wrong with your application, I pull that out and I'll email you and let you know what was wrong. But then I just kind of continue on to the next folks. So if you don't do it correctly, you get sort of bumped to the back of the line. So it's better to just like take your time, get everything submitted that we asked you to do, than to try and like rush through the process because you really want to make sure you get the funding. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay. Sometimes I go through it really quickly. So if there's anything I missed, you're very welcome to reach back out to me after this too.
If I could add one more thing quickly. So once you submit the job form application, I will be reaching out to you right away. So you can schedule a one-on-one with me so we can go further into details about your application, what the fellowship is. I know there were some questions on the award about like what you're going to be doing during the summer. I can give you that description during our one-on-one, and like the name of the organization, if we're a nonprofit, stuff like that. So when you go to submit that award, you can have that right information from the start. Well, any questions? Questions?
Well, this is more for Shania, not so much for you, Luis, but more
Okay.
for Shania.
Go ahead.
I was wondering, Shania, how detailed are we looking at in terms of the budget breakdown? Like, is this going to be like, like what I think of, like, it's like a home budget where like everything is itemized down to like the last penny, or is this more of a broad category breakdown of,
Yeah.
like.
That's a good question. So we like highly encourage everybody to use our budget template.
Okay.
Just because I've seen so many like homemade budgets that like I don't understand. Like I trust that you understand what you did there, but like I don't get it. So we encourage people to just use the template we have on our website. It's on the Summer Internship Award website. And then we have a budget FAQ section there too. And I can drop that in the chat. So I encourage folks to try and like, if you need to get down to every single penny, like do that if that's going to help you get as much funding as you can for the summer. Because I'm like, I would rather everybody just try and get as like that max 4,700. So if you, obviously like the big things, rent, utilities, transportation, food. But then like, I also am like, if you have a pet and you need to buy pet food, if you have medications or prescriptions that you have to buy every month, counseling, co-pays, like, like all these little things that sort of add up in your life. Like I would say, take some time to really think about all of the different things that you regularly have to, like toiletries. If you might have to buy some professional clothes for the summer. Just like literally everything you can think of that you may need, because I would rather you ask for everything financially that you need to be comfortable over the summer. We don't place higher value on students that ask for less money. I've had that come up in the years where students will be like, well, if I just try and like ask for less grant funding, maybe they'll be more likely to fund me. And I don't want that to be something CLBR is known for. Like, we want you to be comfortable and not trying to like barely survive the summer. So ask for everything you need. And use the template. And then that template has a notes section at the very bottom. And I encourage you to be really, really detailed in your notes section. So that way you can just like explain how you came to each of those numbers. And a good example of that is like people will ask for gas money, which is understandable, but they'll just give me like some random number. Like I need $400 for gas for the summer. And I'm like, if you can show me the math on like how you got to that number, then fine. But like, if you're just saying like a random $400 amount, like where are you going all summer? You know, like that's a lot of money for gas. So I think that's kind of where like the notes section of the budget is where you can explain how you got to certain dollar amounts. And just kind of help me understand the math behind some of this. And that's really like, and so in our FAQ section, we tried to like sort of answer a lot of these questions that came up for us in prior years. And it also explains that there's certain max amounts that we will fund for like clothing, equipment. So people aren't asking for like $2,000 for a suit. So I would read through that FAQ, but also know that like we want you to ask for as much money as you can.
I just had one more, if that's okay. Sorry, it's okay. I wanted to ask in particular, so logistically speaking, how is the money dispersed? Is it dispersed into as one big just check, or is it dispersed over the period of the activity? How does that work logistically speaking?
Yeah, so long as if you have direct deposit set up through the business office, which like if you've had a campus job, you probably have set up direct deposit. If you don't, I would encourage you to do that. We just lump sum deposit the amount in your account, in your bank account. But it's whichever account you have set up through Reed's business office. And we probably won't do that like right away. Like we will schedule those disbursements to go out like right before the summer starts. Because we're probably gonna do like we're gonna batch people and like kind of get through like 20 disbursements at a time. So if you applied now, just know that like the students who have applied in this week aren't gonna get their funding for probably a couple more weeks. So but you can budget for things like rent, where you have to pay your full month's rent at a time. So you can ask for like, you know, May, June, July, and August's rent. We're not gonna make you prorate in your budget for costs that require you to pay a month, like rent and utilities.
Would I be able to ask a question to Luis? So I remember you talked about in your presentation that there's going to be certain questions that help students match up with where they're going to reside in the summer. And I was wondering if that meant that if I plan on staying in the LA area, if my internship would also take place in that specific area, or I would have to come back up to Portland.
Yeah, so after you apply, you go to the process. We're going to send you an interest form that asks you those type of questions. And so it's really going to be based on like what you think is best for you. And so if it's a remote opportunity like internship, we will be doing remote work for a fund. Maybe not in California, it could be like in the East Coast, stuff like that. It really is going to be dependent on what you want to do. And if we can find something in the LA area for you with one of our partners there, we would also work with you on that if it's like an on-site thing, if that is what you'll be looking for. So we'll work with you to make sure it fits with your schedule and sort of your priorities for the summer.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. And my other question was, this is really embarrassing, but I was looking through the job form to see if the interest form was there. and I accidentally submitted one on accident. Um, it, is it possible if I could redo it? Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry about
yes,
that.
no worries. Of course, yes. Feel free to resubmit another one. The one you submitted, I will just take off our system. So no worries.
Thank you so much, and I'm so sorry for the inconvenience.
No worries. No problems at all. It's a simple step on my end. So appreciate you looking and asking these questions. It's important.
Thank you so much.
Uh, well, that's I think all we had on our end. If you have any questions, I'm gonna put my email really quickly the chat about the fellowship. I will not the this program. I will happily answer. Sorry, I forgot my email for a sec. Usually don't email me myself. There we go. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via email. And I will happily assist you on the job form and any information you might need for the summer internship award as well.
Thank you both for joining today. For the students, feel welcome to reach back out to me for SIA questions and then reach out to Luis for venture partner questions. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. Hopefully the sun comes out and we can enjoy some warmth.